Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
All right, guys, it is Monday, President's Day, and this is a bank holiday, so I wouldn't expect too much action. Every once in a while, something does happen that's interesting, but the banks are not going to be active today, so the opportunities for us scalping are going to be fewer. So we're going to try and do some research. If you guys have any ideas, things that you would like to look into, we can certainly do that. If not, I've already got a couple of things planned. There's a couple of stock sectors that we want to do some research on. And then I also have a retail price action, yada, yada, strategy to debunk. So we could potentially program that. Excuse me. So let's just come into the charts. I know it's going to be a slow day, but we can go and still see where we're at compared to Friday. Yeah. We do have some rollovers. It looks like corn and wheat are rolling over. Cool. All right, so here's the yen. We did on Friday get a pretty good like downturn, but yeah, it kind of came back a little bit. So yeah, I'm still short, but it's not nearly as great. Like the difference from here to here is quite a lot. All right, so we're so far out, you don't realize like how big of a drop this has been. Woo! Okay. S&P 500 kind of struggled a little bit on Friday and is just kind of going sideways. You can see that tight range. Okay, that's what happens when you get a bank holiday. Be careful scalping today. There's going to be a lot of retail traders that think, oh, this is great. It's just so tight and yada, yada. You know, perfect scalping. No, it's not. You get screwed. You get screwed. Be very careful. Here's oil. Oil is kind of pushing the top end of its range here. Could we actually get like a real breakout in oil soon? Maybe. I mean, I think that the forces that have been kind of keeping it down are probably still out there. But, you know, as long as China is not like really growing strong, I have a hard time seeing oil make too big of a move, but they might be able to at least break into a new range. Gold and silver, you can see here kind of recovering from the downside. So that's actually really good for gold and silver, right? Compare that to ZN, right? They're actually decoupling a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, you would really need silver to get like way above this before I'd get too excited, but it's looking better for them. Copper's also starting to look a little bit better. So maybe things in China are turning around. I don't know. I haven't really heard anything, no talk about it, but usually don't hear as much talk about China here in the United States anyways. The Japanese yen and the dollar, you can see here that like the dollar had that huge spike on the CPI, but has since kind of been just slowly coming down. So the dollar kind of doesn't want to seem to go with the inflation. And there seems to be this reluctance that like the inflation numbers are a big deal. Like they don't seem to think so. They think that it's just like an aberration. And we got Bitcoin. Bitcoin extending a little bit last week, but since then just kind of a little bit sideways, but you know, holding up there for Bitcoin. That's actually pretty good. So that's where we're at. Steve Young says test in my chat. Wow, I have Steve Young in my chat. Oh, that's great. And by the way, good morning, Dom and A Paul. All right, so how do we get going? Well, even though it's a holiday, you guys are all here, so congratulations to you. I think hope that we find and learn some things that'll make the stream worth your while today, huh? But before I get into anything too much, let's just do a little bit of browsing around, make sure that there's nothing super interesting on Twitter or, you know, the standard places. Nassim Taleb talking about GMOs, saying there's been no sufficient empirical research. Mohammed A. El Arian, good morning. Lots of focus this morning on the fall to a 30-year low in foreign direct investment in China. Of course, I can't imagine what would drive somebody to want to put their money into China after, you know, everything that they've done and the negative business environment it's been down there. Someone should tell the trade data that China has lost its manufacturing competitiveness. Then they're showing that China manufacturing is just increasing and U.S. manufacturing continues to go down. This trend in manufacturing in the United States since like 2021 is very concerning to me. It just really concerns me that we keep getting out our manufacturing center. Can ChatGPT do PowerPoint slides? Asks Nassim Taleb. I don't know. Formerly Twitter. Did you see that tweet where Elon Musk was like, stop dead naming Twitter? I hear something's Biden upset at Mayorkas, the guy in charge of the border. That's kind of classic Biden. Blame somebody else. And apparently Nikki Haley is going crazy on X. What is this? Israel issues ultimatum to Hamas: release hostages or suffer the consequences. What? A Nikki Haley staffer using TweetDeck for the first time just scheduled all of Haley's posts for the week to drop within the hour. We are on 26 tweets in less than 40 minutes. Oh my gosh. They tried deleting them, but of course the internet is forever. TikTok is dangerous. Plain and simple, China is behind it and it's hurting our children, says Nikki Haley. Man. Okay, so like whenever I see a politician complaining about TikTok, immediate red flag. Immediate red flag to me. Because I think that they're saying it primarily because there's a lot of like boomers that are really skeptical and concerned about TikTok. But like it being a political issue worthy of a presidential candidate's time is silly. It's just silly. Like, yes, it's China. Yes, I think that they do use it to kind of influence people. And yes, they do collect data from it. But it's like, there's pretty much everything about you online anyways. I don't think that it warrants the hysteria that you get from some politicians. And I don't think that it comes out of genuine concern from Nikki Haley. I think that it's because they've done some polling and so forth. Can you help me get a DX? Oh, your DX running? I have the chart on. Well, okay, so don't use the EH. Yeah. So here's the thing, is that the chart uses the month to determine which month to look at in the currency futures, right? So right now it's 0324. I guess if you put it on an ESH chart, it would probably work right now. But then when you get to a point where the ES is rolled over and the currency futures have not, or vice versa, and then it won't work. Log is what is this? Sometimes YouTube like covers your words up and just bump you here. The index and candles indicators, empty indicators, log is stating on state changes outside of bounds error. That could, so it probably is still the instrument. So I would just put it on a chart for a currency. So here, the one that I show you guys, I have the 6E up, and then I put the dollar index. And if you put it on the 6E, it should probably work. And if it doesn't, then there could be a problem. I should add something in there. Actually, let me write a note here. I should add a little note here to like have the chart actually display an error when that happens, to encourage you to put it on different chart. Probably what it's doing is there's going to be like a time period that where the session templates between ES and the futures don't line up. And that's probably what it's complaining about. But it uses the primary chart as kind of like the basis for like the session templates and the month and all of those sorts of things. So that's why it's better to just put it on a currency future. I think that I should put a little warning on there that says, would not recommend putting this on non-currency chart. That'll probably help that. Okay. So let's get into some research today, shall we? Bring Quaifin over here. Quaifin. So here's our watch list. Well, let's see here. Man, like almost everything is up except for Goldman. That's funny. Well, it's just some meme stocks, DraftKings, or MicroStrategy, ARK, of course. Oh, the Magnificent Seven were all down. That's interesting. So I actually did pretty good on Friday, I guess you could say. Okay, so I think first, before I get into the marijuana stocks, I wanted to read a little bit more about these energy companies. There's energy, and then there's my nuclear. So Sunoco, I want to know, what is the deal with that? Yours says 107 and not 104? Oh, now that is curious. Yep, NVIDIA earnings is Wednesday. So the first thing is let's just remember that it is calculated using the FX futures. So like if you look at the actual dollar index, there might be a slight difference. But if your dollar index is different from my dollar index, there might be something going on there. So the first question would be, are you sure that you get the data? Like, if you load up 6E and 6J, and like, let's load up one of the less common components, like 6S, like the Swissy, and do those charts all load fine? And do you see anything in the log? I got to tell you, I'm super interested in you now, because I have like never gotten any problems with that particular indicator. So to me, it's like, ooh, here's some opportunities to improve it. And you've already given me one idea. So now we got to figure out, why is yours look a little bit different from mine? And that should give us some ideas. Another thing would be like, well, let's see here. Let's come in and look at the settings that I have on it. So one thing is that I have mine set to calculate on each tick. So you could do it to do on price change, but you won't get the same behavior. Well, there you go. Range charts. That's another thing. I wouldn't put it on a range chart. You know, I think I could maybe get it to work on a range chart, but I've never done it that way. So why does a range chart not make sense? Because you're going to be like, a new bar is going to be created every time that there's a range increment over here. And like, if you put it on the 6E, I'm just going to assume that you have it on a 6E chart, right? Okay. So 6E is going to be when it makes a new bar, right? But you got to realize that it is loading like 6 different data series underneath and watching those and using those to do the calculations, right? So put it on a time-based chart and make sure that the calculate is set to on price change. That way, anytime that any of the sub-series changes, the indicator will change. And that way, the candles that you get will be more accurate. If you don't do that, then the candles that you get won't be very accurate. And you probably won't see like the highs and lows kind of changes. Does that make sense? Chinese New Year was on the 10th. Welcome to the year. Okay, so NVIDIA earnings. NVIDIA earnings is Wednesday. So this is a weird one because anytime that a stock is like that popular, I like want nothing to do with it. And if anything, I want to go short that stock. But you know, NVIDIA is one of those cases where like everybody was owning it. It was highly anticipated. And I think it was last time the earnings, like they beat big time. And there was like a huge jump afterwards. There was a pullback for a little while after that. But like Holy crap. Right? So, that could happen again. But I guess it's kind of like there's always going to be the tail, right? You win. If earnings are good, you probably make a little win. If earnings are bad, like the stock probably gets pummeled. But I have no idea as to whether or not they're going to do well on earnings. I do kind of think that this whole AI boom and all of that is kind of overhyped, though. Okay, both indicator settings on price change, but 107 instead of 104. Well, I don't have 104. I have 104.12 right now. But yours says 107. That is weird. Okay, so what is the price of your 6E? 1.07835. Let's do this. I'm going to make a new market analyzer. And then let's see here. I need something over here that will show me, because I forget what all of the constituents are. You can look this stuff up online if you want, but okay, so we are going to add well, let me do it that way. Okay, 6E. J, Japanese yen, Great British Pound, which is what, 6B? British Pound. Add instruments, Canadian dollar, so 6C. SEK, so 6 Swiss franc, right? I forget. SEK is the Swiss, or is that the CHF? And then the other one is, oops. Let's see here. Is SEK. Instruments, search, SEK. Swedish krona futures. Today is a holiday. Why are you trading? Well, I'm not trading. We're doing a research. That's why the title of the stream says, or is it down over here? It says President's Day Research Session. Because I don't like to switch up my, I have to wake up early, and it's quite a bit of a schedule to be able to even do all of this, and I don't like screwing that up, right? So I don't, I don't want to like sleep in on a day like today and screw my whole schedule up. Okay, so when you look at those instruments, are the prices the same as the prices that you see on my screen? Those 6. Tell you what, this Swedish krona doesn't trade very much. Yeah, like pull all 6 of them up. Like do what I just did here on a market analyzer. And pull all 6 of them up. And then what else here? On the data series, I'm using 1 minute. Use instrument settings for trading hours. I can't think of anything else that would affect it. See, if we figure out what it is, then hopefully I can write something into the indicator that will like detect that condition and give you a warning or a recommendation on how to fix it. So you get all 6 of them and they're the same? Oh, you're still entering them. Okay. All right. So, meanwhile, I was doing some research. Sunoco is an American master limited partnership organized under Delaware state laws and headquartered in Dallas. The company has transitioned to vertically integrated energy company and a distributor of fuels. Oh, you can't see it. Move it over a little bit more. I'll put it up here. Sunoco to buy New Star Energy. Okay. They're the same. And when you put the chart on, your 60 is the same price as mine. So then next question would be, well, so first of all, if you go onto the chart and you hit like reload Ninja Script or reload all historical data, does that change it? Oh, you said no. No, meaning your 60 is not the same as mine? I have the same value. 107 does it. Well, I mean, it shows the whole thing though, right? 107810. Because, you know, teeny tiny little differences like that matter in the currencies. Oh, no. In the chart, you have 104. And I have 107. No. In the 6E, what do you have? What is your current value of the 6E? Or what is the underlying instrument? What chart did you put it on? Do you have it on a 6E chart or a 17820? Okay. (6EH4). Okay, that's correct. FGH marches H, yes. Okay, and then let's just, you know, these things shouldn't matter, but let's just make sure that we have everything set the same. Do you have it on a 1 minute chart? Put it on a 1 minute chart. One. Okay. And if you're getting all of these and these all look the same, because my first thought was maybe data is delayed or something. But if these are the same and these chart settings are all the same, we should be getting the same answer, right? Let's come into the indicators here. I don't think that there's any setting in here that would change any of that, but like, I thought I've changed it more recently than 2020, but okay. It looks like your code is not calculating. That's really weird. Well, that's what I was saying. Right click on the chart and like reload NinjaScript. Right click on the chart, reload all historical data. Because now that you have the chart set up correctly, it shouldn't be throwing that error, right? If it's throwing that error, you shouldn't see anything on the chart though. So that means I think that you solved the error. Like you'll still see it in the log when it happened before, but you shouldn't see a second message with it, right? Like if you refresh the chart, you shouldn't see a message. Trying to figure out why Sunoco came up on my watch list here. You open your data series? Sure. Oh, since when did they have an end date? That's interesting. I don't think there's any key. Yeah. Should just be price based on last type minute value 1. Shouldn't need tick replay for this. The load data based on days to load. That shouldn't matter, but I have 5 days loaded. Oops, I want to open up this. Can it be a format date problem? Yeah, could be. Could potentially. Why would that be? Well, wait, where is the format date? Like, where would your date be different from mine? Although I would expect if there was a problem that when you open up the log window that, you know, every time you hit F5, you would see the error. My end date shows the 20th. Yeah, let's just try it. Let's just try it on my side. If I come in and change this to the 20th and click OK, yeah, nothing changes. I'm not seeing a tick. MMJJ thing in programming. What? Has it ticked 104.14? There isn't a start date though on this, is there? Oh, that's interesting. When I changed the end date to the 20th, it changed it back to the 19th. I don't see end date. Where are you talking about? Maybe. Oh, really? Yours shows years before the format and mine starts with day. I don't think that would make a difference though. Okay, so here's the thought. I'm just going to copy this, duplicate in a new window. Okay. Oops. Okay. Make it a little bit smaller so we can kind of manage this. And I'm just going to change it so I have synthetic dollar index candles on here. I'm just going to switch it to the regular synthetic dollar index. Make sure that I have it set to on price change. Okay. So if you just create a new chart and just put the regular synthetic dollar index on instead of the candles one, does that change anything? I find this problem so fascinating. Because we've tried a bunch of different things and they're not working, and the kind of problem that he's experiencing is a problem that I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. Well, I'm not really seeing on the stock. I'm not really seeing anything super interesting on Sunoco, so I'm just really not quite sure why it was on my list, but or why I didn't put it on the list. I think that somebody recommended it. It's up 223% in the past 5 years, though. That's like crazy. But as far as I can tell, it just looks like a fairly new stock, I guess. Sounds like that they actually deliver motor oil to people though, so it's kind of a little bit of a different kind of business from the other stocks in there. So I did a new chart, 6EH4, only indicator dollar index, same window, and it still gives you the same price, huh? Oh, right. Your 6E is 107785. See the part that does the actual calculation. So with this indicator, what makes this indicator complicated is that there's like 6 data series that has to add underneath of it. And then it's looking at every one of those data series and it's doing a calculation on it. For me, it looks like the calculation to 104 is not executed because well, okay, so like when you pull the log over, like right click and clear it, right? And then F5 on the chart. And does the error show back up? You know, like if you clear it and you F5, there shouldn't be anything. Nothing should pop up. Oh. But you still get, but something still shows, like, it still draws a chart? Still draws a chart? Is it necessary to have Depth of Market with NinjaTrader as having it add serious dollars to my subscription? You don't have to have it. I think that you have a hard time understanding what's going on in a market without looking at the depth of market. But, you know, if you're like swing trading and the order flow is not something that you really look at, then you don't need to have that data. Sure. If you're scalping, though, then I think that you probably want to look at the level 2 stuff. Ah, for me, it looks like it just draws the 6E future. Okay. But it still gives you like a price. It's not drawing the chart, but maybe it still gives you a number or something like that. Okay, so then the other thing would be, yeah. What do you have the trading hours set to? Trading hours, use instrument settings. Right, and then if that's normal, then we could come over to the NinjaTrader Control Center and say, tools, trading hours, right? And I think, well, actually first we'd want to go in tool instruments, 6E, Euro FX futures, and then double click on it. And then it should say in here on one of these places down in here, where is it? Trading hours, CME FX futures, ETH, right? So then I come over here to trading hours and I say, go down to CME FX futures, ETH. And what are my settings there? Start 5 to 4, 5 to 4. Maybe it's doing something different with you because of, oh, hey, you know what? I have a theory. Because it must be because it's a holiday. Now let's see here. Do I have, no, I do. Oh, 2401. Oh, that's interesting. At least on my calendar, it doesn't see today, President's Day, as a holiday. But I'm using, so it could be, so there's the question. What version of NinjaTrader are you running? Because I bet you're using like 8.1 something something, aren't you? Yeah, 8.1.2. That's okay. It's just what that might mean is that you're seeing a genuine error, and I'm not seeing it because I've stayed on an older version of NinjaTrader. So if that's what it is, if my theory is correct, then if you like change, so here's an idea. Change the days to load to be 1. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm not getting anything there though. Oh. Interesting. I'm not getting anything printing out, but it's not drawing it. You're too fast. Sorry. I wonder if I reload all historical data, perhaps. Well, then it reloads this chart, but it doesn't do anything over here. Very curious. Five days it shows up. Four days it shows up. Three days. 2 days goes away. Ah, 2 days is working for you. So I think what's going on is there's something about the holiday that the indicator can't handle. So now I wonder, I'm just going to remove the indicator from this chart for a second. Swedish krona. So if I load the Swedish krona, I'm not really getting anything, right? So it might be that the SEK is messed up. So that 6S is fine, 6C is fine, 6B is fine, 6J is fine. I also never saw lines in the indicator window. So what's with SEK? Hold on a second. Why does the SEK have a different symbol? Well, there is only 17 volume on it today. Beta series, phase 5. Yeah. Interesting. So let me think about this. So assuming that that's the problem, that because of the holiday, the Swedish krona is not trading and not behaving, it's not behaving correctly because of that. Let's see here. So when I do, there's this indicator that's like called price line. Show ask, show bid line. Ask line, bid line last time. Oy. Oy. Very interesting. Wonder if I do tick replay. I don't think that'll change anything, but that is definitely the problem. Sorry, it's not that. I keep saying Swedish krona, but it's the Norwegian krona, isn't it? Oh, no. There's the Swedish krona and there's the Norwegian krona. SEK H4 is correct. It's just not trading a whole lot of volume for whatever reason. Yeah, so my theory is that tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, by the end of the week, that the indicator will be working fine for you. So probably what happened was you had some settings on the chart that were too different, that you couldn't load the FX data on it, essentially, and the chart didn't like it because of that. Now that you've got it on a 6E chart, on like a 1 minute, or, on a time-based chart, essentially, it should be working, but you just happen to do it on a bad day, where because the markets are closed and the Swedish krona isn't going and everything, that, you're not getting the data, and so it's not able to calculate because of that. So I think that I can make an update to the indicator to fix this so that, it will, it'll like carry over the last price if it doesn't have one, to try and estimate it. Yep, if you think this can be solved, why not? Yeah. So after the stream sometime today, I'll take a look at that and try a little fix for those both those problems. So make another one that will tell it, if it's not on a 6E chart, that you might have problems. Just like it'll just like bring up a little warning to tell you or something like that. So I'm going to close this down now. Move that back over there. Close this. That was some fun debugging, and it was a really weird niche problem, wasn't it? But I think we figured it out. Unfortunately, I don't have a solution for you like at this exact moment, but it's a President's Day anyways, so I wouldn't recommend trading today anyways. Okay, so shall we come back to this? Like to see the dollar, yeah. Well, I'm bet you come back tomorrow and it'll work tomorrow. So hopefully it will work tomorrow. Okay, so next one that we wanted to look at was actually I think Cameo Corporation, CCJ. Oh, Kamiko. Dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. So when I search for them, I get there. Okay, been a publicly traded company since 1991. We're on the Toronto and New York Exchange. We've made dividend payments. 2 splits. Okay. Yeah, they have like, here's our analysts that are covering us. Argus Research, lowering price target to 46. Hamaco Corp is one of the world's largest uranium producers. When operating at normal production, the flagship McArthur River mine in Saskatchewan accounts for roughly 50% of output in normal market conditions. Okay, so they're a mine. They are mining in Saskatchewan. So it is a North American source of uranium. And that's why I think that it's been doing so well. So if I come back over here to the watch list, like URA, it's been up pretty big this past year, right? So these are both uranium companies, I think. Those are analyst targets. Does it give me all, or yeah, let me just get all. 13 best energy stocks. Hamaco Corporation marks a divergence from oil and gas energy stocks from our list. This is the first nuclear energy stock so far. It's released its fourth quarter earnings report, which saw the firm substantially grow its revenue. Insider Monkey scoured through 910 hedge fund holdings to find 54 investors. Out of these, the biggest stakeholder is Richard Dryhorse Capital. Okay, so it has very heavy, let's say, hedge fund ownership. We only had to figure out again what had already been happening, done on our planet. Even, yeah, You ever read that research report where they think that they found like a naturally occurring uranium power plant in the earth? Like there was a high enough concentration of uranium and like the minerals around it and everything that it was actually like producing energy. Yeah. This is super crazy to me. Okay, here's earnings call transcript. Seems like I'm having a hard time finding like good research reports that just tell me about the stock. Seeking Alpha, that'd probably be a good spot to find stuff. Are these from like people? I don't know. Let's see if it'll let us read these. And sign in with Google. Despite hedging concerns, find Cameco appealing for its stability and secure long-term investment potential. CCJ's position as the largest uranium miner will continue to make it the go-to stock for institutions. The drawback to this investment is that Cameco has hedged its production for the coming years. Subsequently, as I've repeatedly argued for nearly 2 years, this drawback has led me to buy into Uranium Energy Corp, given that that uranium miner is unhedged. Okay, so this is a uranium miner. That told me a lot about it. So let's come back here to my watch list. So I know that URA is like a fund, I believe, right? Doesn't give you a market cap. It's because it's like an ETF for uranium. Okay, same with, I think, Energy Fuels as well, I think is about uranium. But let's do ETR. When I came here, what was that analysis? Okay. Boo, it's not gonna let me read it now. Well, this is a weird, I've never had this before. Press and hold. Boo. Intenergy is a Fortune 500 integrated deep energy company engaged primarily in electric power production and retail distribution operations in the deep south of the United States. Intenergy is headquartered in New Orleans. It generates and distributes electric power to 3 million customers. Subsidiaries: Intenergy Nuclear. Intenergy owns and operates power plants, and it is the second largest nuclear generator in the United States after Exelon. Okay. Let's read here. Dominion Energy recognizes nuclear power as a highly reliable source of zero carbon emission electricity is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. During 2021, the company's 7 nuclear power reactors located in Connecticut, Virginia, and South Carolina. Blah, 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 blah. The company views nuclear energy as a crucial element in its strategy to achieve net zero carbon. The company received NRC approval to extend the operating license an additional 20 years for each unit at Surrey Power Station. The company is also pursuing operating license extensions for other stations. Okay. Are they making small nuclear reactors? Okay, at a recent meeting, Dominion Energy Vice President discussed Dominion's plan for developing advanced nuclear facilities featuring small modular reactors in southwestern Virginia. They're studying the addition of the technology to its fleet of conventional nuclear power plants in Virginia. Dominion's, this was May of last year. So my understanding is that the small nuclear reactor dream is dead. Okay. Virginia House and Senate okays bills to advance development of small modular nuclear reactors, which would allow Dominion to recoup early development costs. Okay. Now, in my watch list, is there like a, let's see here. I wish there was like a memo field, you know what I mean? So that I could come in here and write my own notes. Sorry, this was, oh, there was Dominion. Yes. So I'm just going to have to remember that, huh? Saw an article where Pueblo, Colorado is going to build a small nuclear. Yeah, I'm a little bit though, like, because the whole thing was who was it? Is it SMR? Yeah, NuScale. That was their whole thing, right? That was their whole thing. And then like they went what is the they did their IPO, let's say, back in March of 2022, right? And since that time, like, they opened up pretty good at 10, they went up to 14, and now they're all the way down to 6. Or sorry, 2. So they've lost like 70% of their value. Because they it fell apart. Yeah. Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems and NuScale Power agree to terminate carbon-free power project. So basically, like, they tried doing it, and then they found that there weren't cost savings from it. And they scrapped they scrapped the whole project. I wonder on this one, conversations, what people say. Hanging in for the longer term, hope to see the first installation operational in 3 to 5 years. natural gas prices aren't helping. I mean, I guess you get an okay price. But their first project falling through is not very confidence inspiring, is it? Okay, and the other one we have to look up is NEE. Next Era Energy. Ultra high yield dividend stock. Okay, so then this is another like general energy company that is interested in next generation nuclear technologies. So it could be a good play because it has such a strong dividend and everything. Insiders are buying shares. It's a lot more activity here than there is in like rare earth resources, for instance. I've never seen it live like this from me while we're researching nuclear stocks. Because it's Monday. Because it's President's Day, rather. Okay, so they have some nuclear plants. I find it funny that the Wikipedia has been one of the better places for me to get information. You have wind facilities. Google Energy has an agreement with them. You have 3 nuclear power plants. Okay. Some of these results are a little bit older. So I guess the advantage you got with Next Era Energy is that it's not just nuclear. They're kind of like overall renewable energy. Apparently they have a decent amount of debt though. High levels of debt associated with financing these investments could pose a risk to its financial stability. And this whole market segment has been down because gas is so cheap right now. Okay. Man, the treasuries, can you believe that? They've like moved like 1 tick since we've opened in the past hour. That's insane, man. Even for a holiday, that's crazy. Okay, so now that I've reacquainted myself with some of the stocks on this list here. Oh, one more. CEG. Constellation Energy Corporation. They're seeking renewal for licenses and stuff. Remains #1 producer of carbon-free energy. Okay. Well, I think I'm ready to move on, though. Fast marijuana stocks. Oh, yeah. Not that I'm into any of that stuff. But it seems to me that at some point, oops, sorry, wait then. Keep that open. Now, what I'm doing here, you go and look at like the list of 7 that may not necessarily be the ones you want to get into. But it gives me a good idea, and I can search, and then it's easier for me to find other ones from there. But it seems to me that it's going to become more and more decriminalized. So companies that are manufacturing and selling such products, I think, could be big winners. Wow, some of these are down big. SHF Holdings. Now let's do OGI. OGI down 50% in the last year. Oops. Organogram Holdings. Earnings call. Thoughts on SOUN? Let's look that up. Soundhound? AI? Oh yes, I've seen this one. This one has been up pretty big the past few months, hasn't it? Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at that jump on the 15th. Yeah. This is actually, if I recall correctly, let's see here, is it? Well, there it is, Swaggy Stocks. It's like on that list, I'm pretty sure. Of course, Nvidia's the top one. Super micro is just like super crazy. Ticker sentiment. Oh, it's not on the list anymore, but they were talking about it. So basically, it's part of this whole AI boom sort of thing, right? Nah. Let's see here. What do they do exactly, though? A global leader in voice artificial intelligence today announced that it will report 2023. Offers voice AI solutions to let businesses offer incredible conversational experiences to their customer. Built on proprietary technology, SoundCloud's voice AI delivers best-in-class speed and accuracy in numerous languages. So let's try it. Do-do-do. Explore our platform. Ah, you don't let me try it? Come on. Try it. There we go. There we go. Oh, come on. All right, fine. Hold on, let me register here. Use the speech to text engine, but I want to use the text to speech. So when I did this, I would to try for free. Dashboard. Getting started. It's not going to let me do this without like actually sending a request to them, huh? Oh, you can try it through a web browser. Okay. I kind of like skipped over that. Where did I see that? Try the Houndify API. How do I get to the try the API section? probably really frustrating to watch me try and browse and try and find something, but developer ongoing. Defy Explorer Python. Those are. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I've gone down the rabbit hole too deep, haven't I? Fine, register a new client, my new app. Desktop application. Okay, but that don't help. Now you can see my client IDs and stuff. Cool. Try the Houndify API. Yes. Sure, you can know my location. Okay. Enter, maybe? No. Oh. I didn't get that. Okay, so it looks like this is primarily a transcription service. Yeah. There was the part that was like, test the API. Right through a web browser. Send text or voice requests. Input query, sample questions, request details, response details, enable domains. Okay, so this is basically you say or ask it questions and then it will respond back to you. And it can understand what you're saying. Okay. Pricing. Free. You get 100 credits a day. Cloud text to speech. $100 a month. You get 500 credits a day. That's not enough. Like, I don't think that 500 credits a day would be enough for us to use on this stream. Right? So I'm kind of a little bit like, like this is a speculative stock that's gone up because of the AI bubble, if we want to call it that. I'm going to call it a bubble. I think it's a bubble. And I don't see anything particularly, you know, like as a developer, when I'm going through and doing a website, like how quickly can I see something that like works and shows me like what data I can get back and what it actually does and that sort of a thing, right? And we've spent 20 minutes, I guess, only to just realize that it's not really, well, it does cloud text to speech, but not on the free tier. Right? Took me how long to figure that out? Is that because I'm stupid, or is it because they're not actually that good? So make from that what you will. But I prefer not to get into a stock that is like, you know, like if Wall Street Bets is talking about it, probably don't want to. Probably you missed the boat out, right? The real trade is already over on that one. Right? Let's see here. NVIDIA invested a few million in them. That's what fueled the spike. Oh, really? Okay. Well, all of the markets are open regular today. It's just the banks are not open, and so there's just like zero activity out there right now. Treasuries did move down 2 ticks, so whatever. Okay, so if we come back to this one, they should have like explanations of these. Okay, so this one that's down the most, this company is focused on producing indoor grown cannabis for medical and recreational customers in Canada. They do not have the same problems with the companies with a U.S. footprint, but they have their own woes. They've been battling competition from the illegal weed market where providers can sell marijuana for cheaper because they aren't regulated and don't pay taxes. Canadian companies also face competition from a crowded illegal market, and all the competition means they have to sell their product at low prices. And as in the U.S., prices have been under pressure because of a supply glut. Okay, so that's interesting. So that is probably a problem. Is that why those stocks kind of were hot for a while and then died down? Was because everybody realized that it was like too cheap to grow it? Some companies, their large tax bills have exceeded the amount of cash they generate from operations, leaving them to essentially have to raise capital to pay taxes. Wow. But others have been able to earn enough to cover their taxes with operational cash flow. While a rising tide lifts all boats, those that have scaled and are able to generate sufficient levels of cash flow from operations to satisfy current obligations will likely fare better, and at least initially, than those that have been unable. I have to be honest, like, what I'm reading right now already has me be like, I don't know if this is a good market to be in. Like, I thought, okay, like, it's a big, I remember when it was the hot stocks. I think that was before 2020, wasn't it? But now I'm kind of seeing, this is why it moved down. Obviously, if it was legalized, it would probably, these companies would probably benefit. But we're seeing things already that after that initial, like, big rush, that maybe they aren't really very good businesses. Because you're basically competing with every person that can just grow it in their yard. SHF. Most financial institutions stay away from lending out of fear of being charged with money laundering or aiding and abetting a federal crime, but there is a loophole if companies file certain paperwork with each transaction. Ensure that SHF Holdings, through the Safe Harbor Financial, undertakes to provide traditional banking services to cannabis, hemp, and CBD and ancillary operators. It's not entirely clear how DEA rescheduling would affect their place in the banking world, and that gives SHF Holdings an edge because of its already existing relationships and experience in lending. Okay, so that's interesting. So they're a financial company that lends to these guys. I don't know if that's a company that I would want to be involved in, but plus it does kind of sound like maybe they would have an edge, but maybe also it would be bad for them because right now they don't really get competition, and then they would. Right? This company has a vertically integrated operations in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Michigan, and California. So they sell products that they cultivate. Okay, well, over the past year, what's the best return one? Vernano. It is. Okay. So I'm just going to add that one. VRNOF. But I'm honestly, wow, it's 95% over the total year for 1 year. To be honest, though, I'm a little skeptical about this space after reading about it. I don't like the risks that I'm reading about. So now let's add a new section here. Let's see here. How do I do it? Add new group. AI SOUN. Soundhound. There you go. Now we got that one on there. So you guys got other tickers you want to take a look at. So I'm more interested at the current time. Of course, we get all of these kinds. So once we put them in here, then we get all this information, right? So like, wow, 10% short interest in Soundhound. Interesting. And of course, you don't get ratios like growth and all of that because they're brand new and they've never made a profit. But if there's other stocks you want us to look at or we can put on our watch list, I'll take a look. Got a pretty decently big watch list already. I think I need to look at what other sectors do we need stuff in. Like maybe medical. You know, medical was one that I was never interested in because I was kind of in the health industry. But now that I'm not, I get in there. Oh, you know what? And we should also do auto. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to add? Yeah, we can just add Wells Fargo under financial here because I have Goldman Sachs in there, but you know we took it out because they own it. Put it up there. Let's also, while we're at it, let's add JP Morgan. You gotta have JP Morgan in there, right? So Wells Fargo has been up 100% over the last year. That one's crazy, right? There was a time, remember, they did very, very poorly for a while because consumers, they had big problems. They got caught doing lots of bad things and consumers didn't trust them. And to be honest with you, I still don't trust them. So I totally get why they'd be up in the past year. I'm not so sure that I would necessarily... Like, I think that if I had to pick between JP Morgan and Wells Fargo, I would pick JP Morgan. So, like, look at that over here. When you look at the total return over 5 years, it's 21% for Wells Fargo and 97% for JP Morgan. Right? Oh, did I miss? What was I saying? 97? Did I misread that as that Wells Fargo was up? Well, Wells Fargo was up only 13% this past year. That's interesting. Yeah. On almost every metric. So let's see here. Earnings per share forward growth. Wow, they expect a 14% earnings per growth in JP Morgan. Wow. Let's add a small regional bank. Like, let's do, I like Zions because they're a local company. Oof. Okay, well, their earnings per share and forward earnings are both expected to be negative. Their current earnings per share are negative, but all of them are negative. But this is much, much worse than the other ones, so. If they can get their investment restrictions lifted, it would lead to higher profits. Yeah, but like the issue is they make their money from retail and nobody trusts them. Why would you? Like after everything that they pulled in, yeah, sure, you've reformed and everything, but why would you get involved? I know. I will say I know the CTO of Wells Fargo was a former boss of mine. He's really good. So maybe that's a reason to invest in them, but don't let that one get to Mark. If Mark was like, well, Mark working for them is a reason to buy Wells Fargo, he'd be like, oh my gosh, please no. Please don't invest in on my sake. That was pretty good, but it's about 8 o'clock now, so we got an hour left, and I did want to get into some programming. So shall we switch over to that now? So on Reddit, there was somebody, and I don't remember why they started messaging me and stuff. Oh my gosh. There was a thread about there was a bulletin sent out by in the UK saying that trans women milk is safe to drink. And a bunch of people were like, wait, what? Because they don't realize, and this is, if you don't know, don't worry, it's all cool. But everybody has the equipment to produce milk. You just don't have enough of the hormone for you to actually lactate. That only happens like when you have a baby and then you get tons of prolactin going through your system, right? But there are things that you can do, or inject yourself with hormones or other behaviors that you can do that will just get you to produce milk, and that's how they do it. And so there's this Reddit thread I pointed, because they were asking, and so nobody was answering the question, so I answered the question, and I regret doing it. I regret doing it because now I'm getting all of these responses about it. That's funny. Okay, but anyways, where is how do I get to my inbox? Dun, 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 dun. I know there's an inbox somewhere. Reddit, where is it? Messages. Cool. Most of the messages are, hey, you just joined this subreddit. Cool. Yes. So I don't remember why this guy was arguing with me, but basically he's like, oh, I got this great setup. I was, okay, let's backtest it. I'll show you that it's not probably not what you think it is. So a trading breakout, my one indicator is the TMO and 1 hour time frames. The other is the TTM squeeze. Okay, you need all of them to synchronize, bullish or bearish, with entry being above a breakout of a quote liquidity level. Okay, so what we can do is we can say new 30-minute high, something like that. Major. I wonder how major of a liquidity level he wants it to be, but we can say breakout of a certain level and these two indicators going off together. But we'll do these two indicators going off together on their own first, right? So I don't know if I have those two indicators built into NinjaTrader. Let's go and look. TTM. Is that what it was called? It's TMO and TTM. Nope, neither of those. Okay, so we may need to add it. Let's just see. TTM NinjaTrader. Squeeze indicator. Oh, TTM squeeze. I think I've actually looked at this one before. What version? I'm running 8.0 something something. I do not have 8.1 because basically for me to use 8.1, I would have to be using NinjaTrader brokerage, and I don't want to. So the older version works great. I don't know what's going to happen when I simply can no longer use it, but whatever. I was able to locate publicly in the user app share. Momentum squeeze. Download. Okay, and then the other one was... That was TTM, right? Yeah, so we need TMO. TMO NinjaTrader. True momentum oscillator. Well, the fact that it doesn't seem like a popular thing kind of helps. So we're probably going to have to write this one. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here's one in trading view, so we might just be able to use that. There's a Medium article. I would have thought that there would be an article on Investopedia, but clearly there's not. So he wasn't too clear. It shows a bias of 1 minute, 5 minute, RSI, 15 minute, and 1 hour time frames. So let's see here. It looks like that is indeed what this is showing. My gosh. Calculates the delta of price using the open close. We've taken the true momentum oscillator a step further and have added the momentum of the main signal and the smooth signal line. We believe this helps give a clearer picture of the price momentum. And here is the script. Open and close. TA cross, okay. Oh, I see. Main signal equals multi-moving average, calc length type, moving average, smooth length. Okay. So it's moving averages. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence, does it? I don't know if this is the one that we actually want to use. So let's come into trading view. Oh, look at that. TMO with TTM squeeze. Source code. Settings, hide, source code, more. Okay, well, let's bring this up. So I'm going to ask him. Here we go. Okay, so TMO length, TMO calculate length, TMO smooth length. Okay, so they've got 3 periods that they use, right? They got EMA, signal, bias. Horizontal line at 70. Horizontal line at negative 70, I guess. So that's, oops. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, there's a line at 70, and then they also draw a line at 100. At least they think they're drawing a line at 100, and then there's a line at 0. Oh my gosh. Am I? Oh, there we go. Okay. It's like, where did the Pine editor go? Okay. So these lines, main line plot 100, main divided by TMO length, signal divided by TMO length. Okay. So all of this is the true momentum oscillator. And then all of this is the TMO input. Bollinger Bands, SMA, oh, are they passing? Let's see here. I don't know how that works in PineScript. I seem to forget, but it sounds like they're saying they're taking a Keltner channel and they're passing SMA into it. The function declaration operator can create single line and multi-line functions. What was TR? Was TR an input? No, where is it? Where does TR come from? Oh, built-in variable. The true range. Highest value for a given number of bars back. Okay, so they're taking the high and the low for a certain range, divided by 2, and then adding the SMA. Oh, wow. OSC linear regression. Was minus E1. Where did... Oh, E1 was that first thing. Divided by 2. Okay, so they're essentially creating a range and seeing if maybe they've broken out. Which is curious because he says, oh, it has to be a break of a major liquidity level, but then, like, there's stuff in here already to kind of be trying to do that. So it might be hard for me to translate this over to NinjaTrader directly, just because I'm going to be converting this code without really knowing what I'm looking at. I just don't understand where these come from. What those are all about. Oh, but they do this B band. Oh, I see. This is defining a function. So they're saying B band, you pass in the length and mult are these two things that you pass into it. And then it will return you the value of this. Same with the Keltner. Gotcha. Like all this stuff down here, it seems pretty straightforward. That I could convert that. New editor. Indicators. And which part was that? That was the TTM? Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't focus on the TTM squeeze. Actually, let's come over and look at the TTM squeeze that I downloaded. Has a Keltner channel in it. Of course, he put it in his own namespace. Takes the highest and the lowest. Average divided by 2. Linear regression. There is a comparison part that it makes. Oh, there you go. Bollinger of the lower. Oh, wait. Does it do that B band twice? No. These seem slightly different. because he's doing the Bollinger and the Keltner on the highs and the lows. Well, I'm just going to do it all in one. TTM. Actually, I call it TMO TTM. Yeah. Oh, I want the TMO on the top. Okay. And then coming back to here, I'm just going to copy all of this from their study in trading views so that I don't have to like constantly come back and reference it. There we go. Okay. So let's start with the TTM squeeze. So there's an SMA. And they do this the high and the low, don't they? So I'm thinking about how I want to do this now. Because I don't want to use like a method like they're doing. Okay, but so there's definitely a public int TTM SQL length get set, right? Okay, but that's the only input to the TTM. There's public int. Oh, int isn't supposed to be capitalized. Public int. TMO link. Public int calc link. Public int mode blank. So this person does not use camel case consistently, so but we will. gonna do it like that. Okay. Okay, so then in here, we're going to have an EMA, an EMA, and an EMA, and then an SMA, right? SMA of the close. And then an SMA of the true range. So then there's also going to be SMA true range, something like that. And standard deviation. Okay. EMA main. EMA signal. EMA 5 equals EMA of calc length. But they do EMA on data. Oh, now this is interesting. What is this? Data equals 0. For I equals 1 to TMO length if close is greater than the open. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. So we're going to have to create our own, well, there's going to be a plot data. Public, I forget what did they call it. I need something with multiple series in it. Let's look at the Bollinger Band. Do they create names for them? Yeah, we want one of these. if, and then we have to do these. So I'm assuming that close must be the current close, right? Let's come back to here. Close of the current bar when it has closed. Okay, so if the close of 0 is greater than the open of I, if the close of 0 is less than the open of I, then data equals data plus 1. Data equals data minus 1. Oh, interesting. Okay. And then data of 0 equals data. Right? And then this EMA 5 is the is the EMA of data for the calc length, right? Correct. Okay. And then this other EMA, what did we call it? Main equals the EMA of EMA 5 over the smooth length. And then signal equals EMA of main over the smooth length. So will that work? So it will. The first thing is it will plot this thing, but then I would have to have these other plots. So yeah, I will just add plot EMA 5. Add plot main. Add plot signal. So when I was down here in this part, I was saying I need a SMA and a standard deviation. I also need Bollinger Bands and Keltner's channels too. And possibly multiple ones. Okay, well, this formula I think I can just take. call this SMA something. SMA1, I'm just going to call it. SMA1 equals SMA of this close. Okay. Okay. What don't you like right there? Me this. Oh, I see. Of course. Okay. And I don't need to worry about that yet. Basically, is what it's saying. What I just realized. Okay, so we do have in NinjaTrader a linear regression, don't we? Linear reg. And plot E1. This will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so E1 of 0 equals this. Can order flow predict trends? I bet not. So I would say that actually this is quite effective at predicting trends. But the kind of situation that you get where it's highly indicative of a trend forming is kind of, let's say it's not every day. And by the time you realize that the trend is coming, you're probably gonna get stuck in a pullback, right? So to really be effective at trading, you kind of have to know that the trend is coming before, and then use what you're seeing in the order flow as kind of confirmation so that you can get into it earlier, right? Because you're competing with everybody else. They're all looking at the same things that you are. So if everybody's looking at something that's predicting a trend, then how can you, right? They're going to get in it before you do, and it's going to go up, right? But once you know that like a trend is coming through, seeing that autocorrelation in the order flow, it tends to be a very, very good indication of like the trend will continue the rest of the day. So that's often the way that those work is, you know, they're buying in, they're going to be net buying all day, and they have to slowly buy a little bit of it until the end of the day. Versus the options chain. Well, I don't think that the options chain is going to tell you very much on like a 1 minute basis though. Right? If I'm going higher time frame than that, then there's a bunch of other things that I would be using instead, right? But then order flow wouldn't even really be relevant at that point, right? So the order flow over the course of 1 day tell you that the trend is going to come? Well, I suppose maybe it could. I've never really used it in that kind of a manner and done any kind of research or study on it. So they want a linear regression of this minus this. I'm a little bit... Well, let's just see here. Actually, let's do this. E2 of 0. So in your opinion, is the best leading indicators other order flow looking to something for daily bias? Well, okay, so like it really matters about the question, the exact question that you're asking, right? Because I think that your tendency is going to be, you have this model of like all of the other retail trading sort of indicators and ways that retail traders tend to think. And so then you'd say, oh, okay, so there's these indicators. Is this indicator good? Is this indicator good? Is this indicator good, right? But when we actually get into like the empirical world, it's like, well, we know this and we know this. Like the things that you can actually prove are quite limited. But that quite limited piece of information can also be extremely powerful, right? So in this particular instance, when we're talking about trends and order flow, the empirical information that we have that is incredibly powerful is the autocorrelation of order signs. So what does that mean? Order sign means whether the market order is a buy or a sell. Okay. So if I go and I pick any individual order at random from the market and I say, is this order a market buy or a market sell? You know, because each order is going to be a market matched up with a limit order, right? But we're just looking at the market order. Is it a buy or a sell, right? And if it's a buy, then there is a 0.5% chance that if I take another random order an hour from now, that it will also be a 5. It will also be a buy, rather. I said 5. What did I say? 5. Does that make sense? Let me say it again. So if I take a random order and it's a buy, then there is a 0.5% chance that, like a greater chance, that it will be a buy in an hour too. Okay. So if they are buying right now, chances are an hour from now, there will also be buying. Okay. That's the thing that we know that we can prove. Okay. Now, why do I limit it so much like that? Well, if it's a market buy now, it'll be a market buy in an hour. Well, because there's lots of other things that will factor into the price, right? So we could be in a liquidity hole. We could have correlated instruments and so forth that are moving the opposite ways and things like that, right? Well, it's a 0.5% chance. So when you say a 0.5% chance of over an hour is actually like a really massive difference when you really look at it. What it really means is, if I were to draw a chart, right? Hold on. Where is my little thing? If I were to draw a chart. So here you have, this is a chart of just cumulative delta, right? And I kind of see this sort of a thing, right? Then the chances are that, in an hour, you'll also see it going up. Okay. That's basically what it means. Okay. But that's how we represent it statistically, right? This is statistically, we say, okay, here's where we pick the first order. It was a buy because there's more buy orders than sell orders. So now I pick another random order an hour from now, and it's also more likely to be a buy than a sell. Okay. But it doesn't necessarily tell you that price is going to be up. Price could be doing this for all we know. Right? But the orders are going to be buying. All right. Now, why would it be like this? Well, because there's like correlated instruments and hedging and those kinds of effects, right? But if this is like the primary market, so like we're trading treasuries, the price action originates in the treasury futures, or we're trading oil or some kind of like pure commodity, then this really, really holds. That if you're seeing cumulative delta trending up, that means there's more market buy than market sells. Then an hour from now, they will likely still be buying up, right? And all other things being equal, that will mean that price will move up, but it's not a guarantee the price will move up, right? So I kind of have to factor in a bunch of other information into it too. That's why I have like all of these correlated instruments up, and I kind of know why might they possibly be buying it, to know is it really going to continue going up in an hour and things like that, right? So are you with me so far? So what it ends up being is like, if you try and do like a systematic system, right? I'm waiting for a certain amount of trend to say, cumulative delta is trending up, right? And about as soon as you can detect that, it will start doing this. It'll start mean reverting, essentially. So everybody else is looking at it. The market makers get scared. They pull their liquidity. Things kind of get stuck there, right? So what I really need to know, what I really want is, I'm going to see it come like this. And this is the point at which you would determine that it's really truly a trend, and then it starts doing this, right? I want to be in right here and get out right here, right? So how can I do that? I have to know that the orders are coming. I have to know there is something about the setup with today that there's likely to be more buying than selling. Now, can you do that purely with just looking at price and other market data? Maybe. And I think that there are some like niche situations where like, if you look at a daily basis and you have like momentum triggers on a daily basis, right? Then you can pretty well come in and say, yeah, they're going to be buying it today because all of the momentum traders are going to buy this today, right? If you can predict what those funds are going to do, right? Or I have a piece of news and I know what the news is, and I know that it's a pretty significant piece of news that they can't just account for all at once, so they're going to have to buy a bunch over the course of the day, right? That's how I can predict that the orders are coming, that the orders are going to come, right? But then if I get in here, at this point, you have maximum information risk and minimum price risk. So think of it as like, if you have a stock going up and down like this, right? If I buy it right here, I don't really know. Is it really going to go up, or is it going to turn back down, right? So there's a lot of information risk to it, right? But there's not as much price risk because I want it to go up here, and if it makes a new low, there's not, so I don't need very much price for me to go down, right? So I want to catch it down here in this area where I have the least price risk. But the problem is because I have the least price risk, I have less informational content, right? So how do we compensate for that? Know what's going to happen. If I have information that tells me that there's buying that's going to come in, then I can buy right here before anybody knows what's going on, right? And then I can continue to watch the cumulative delta. So if I get in and it just kind of goes like this, then I know that I'm not seeing the orders that I'm supposed to see, and I just get out, right? So it kind of becomes a confirmation in ways. But I'm still, I have an idea, it should be doing this. And I'm even watching it with even these little teeny tiny ticks, every little tick up and down on the DOM. I'm making a, kind of looking and saying, is that in line with the order flow that I'm expecting? Right? And then if it's not, then I don't, if I don't understand what it's doing at that time, then I just don't take a trade, right? And so this kind of reduces my risk overall. It gives me better confirmation so that, I can get out of losing trades before they really become losing trades. And right? That's kind of how I use that kind of information, right? So do you see how I'm able to take something that's quite a limited statistical edge in the market, right? And I'm utilizing it in my trading together with everything else that I know about the market, right? Most people seem to believe that if I just know the right pattern, then I can predict that something's going to happen. And of course, I can't predict it every time, but there's some sort of, risk reward ratio where I'll win 50% of the time or something like that, right? And the problem with those kinds of setups is that they're not true. almost any kind of statistical analysis that you'll do on the market will come out to break even. So you might find something that when this pattern happens, it buys more often than it sells, but it will always be risk adjusted. If it buys more often than it sells, then you don't make as much when it buys as you make when it sells and it's wrong, right? So risk adjusted, and that's why you kind of have to test these things over really big data sets, right? 5 years of data, you can look at these setups and you can see, those don't work. So lots of people talk about price action these days. Well, there's no empirical evidence that price action works. As far as I can tell, the people that are running around claiming to make money from price action are just doing so because they have a stop that's much larger than their target, and they take this little teeny tiny piece out every time, and you can get away with that for a long time. Over a really large data set, that's not profitable, but over a 2-year time period, you can totally get away with it, right? And then when they blow the account, they just don't say anything, right? But if I'm going over a big data set and I have a real empirical edge, right? It might be something limited, but then I can kind of combine it with a bunch of those kinds of edges and everything that I know about the market and things that robots can't do, and you can actually find a real edge. The only issue with that whole scenario is you have to actually be informed. You have to actually know what's going on in the market. That's really hard. And if you're not informed and you think you're informed, then you can take big losses, right? But that's kind of, especially when you get into day trading, that is actually the game in day trading. Okay, all this pattern stuff that you've heard about, most of that stuff was daily basis, not day trading. Those were momentum strategies where you look at it on a daily basis and yada, 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 yada. Okay. Nobody, in open source at least, can safely systematically predict trends, beginning retracements in them and reversals. It simply doesn't exist. It's always an educated guess. Yeah. Well, on intraday, on intraday. Okay, so there are momentum strategies. So momentum strategies can be really simple triggers that just, there's time series momentum and you get on at the beginning of the trend and they just go and go and go. Those don't work on an intraday basis because the amount of money that you can make off of a winner like that on an intraday basis doesn't pay for the number of times that you lose, right? In order to pay for it, you have to hold it for like months and months and months. And that's why it works. That's why there's like evidence for daily time series momentum, but not for intraday time series momentum, at least as far as I've seen in my research. Right? What if someone created a system where trends predictions are systematic and no longer a statistical bet? Such an individual would be rendered absolutely unfair against the other day traders out there, and it would grow on the market. However, it doesn't exist. No. I think I do have some evidence that Renaissance Capital and others have discovered a system somewhat like that. Basically, they look at momentum in the market, and then they kind of have this really complicated correlation matrix. And based on a move in one thing, they can kind of game out how other things might move in the future based on the anticipated flows that particular data point predicts, right? And then they can kind of get ahead of those trends. But they can only trade so much, right? You can only use so much size because then you're going to move the market and then there's not an edge in it, right? So they have to limit the amount that they trade that, based on all of these factors to prevent the rest of the market from catching on. But there has been some things that I've read about their systems and stuff that make me think that they actually are kind of doing something like that. But like the trick there, and this is the really big kind of like aha moment, right? Is that they predict the orders. They say, okay, because we closed here, there's going to be this many CTAs out there that are going to buy this instrument tomorrow because it's momentum. And they can actually kind of track and calculate how many of those orders are actually going to come and thus predict what the price is going to do for that day, right? You have to predict the orders. Okay? If you're just using price, it doesn't fit out. But when you know the orders, you can say, here's the orders, here's the current market conditions. You combine those together, and now you know where price is going to go, right? And that's why order flow is such an important component. You are so sobering. More beginners should have listened to you before going into trading. I was thinking about that the other day because there was a Reddit thread where somebody was asking about YouTubers, and reading their description of what they were looking for, I was kind of like, oh, this kind of sounds like my kind of guy, because he wasn't looking to go and like copy their trades or take some class or something or anything like that. He said, oh, I just want to watch it because sometimes it gives me motivation, And I was like, oh, well, if it's motivation that you're looking for, don't come to my stream. I'm the worst place if you want to be motivated as a trader, because my stream is, very focused on the actual, like what we can actually prove. And the reality is what we can actually prove is limited, and retail traders, by and large, don't make money. That doesn't mean that it's not worth it. I mean, I think if you look at my trading, I would say that if just on the trading alone, that it would be net unprofitable still. I've done better in the past year, but I've had stumbles. It's rough. But if I look at like the net impact that it's had on my life, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, because then I knew things like, I knew that housing prices were going to be coming up crazy, and that when millennials started getting into homes, that there wouldn't be enough of them. I've been tracking this since like 2012. So I got into a house as quickly as possible. I knew kind of the right time to get in based on interest rates, and I knew to be able to refinance when 2020 happened, and all of these crazy things, right? Made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of that you wouldn't necessarily see reflected in the future trading. So I think it's totally worth it. But just realize the kind of the strategies and systems and things that we always heard about as kids and in the popular vernacular about all these people that made money from trading, they either weren't actually day trading or they were doing strategies that have basically been taken over by robots. So you really got to temper your expectations and understand what you're getting into if you want to trade futures as a retail trader. Yeah, the orders don't necessarily imply that price will go up or down. It's a good bet that if they're buying that, right, cumulative delta and price tend to be correlated, but it's not guaranteed because they could be buying. So like, for instance, if I come into the treasuries, they could be buying, but it not move. So like in this instance, the cumulative delta is sideways, but we're moving down. Why is that? Well, because they're selling in ZB and ZN is just following it in correlation, right? And there can be situations where, like, you know, you might see net buying coming into the 5-year because we're steepening or whatever. Yeah, if we were steepening, you'd see buying coming to the 5-year and selling coming to the ZB. And so you might see them all come down, but the 5-year actually be buying, right? So that's why there's kind of like this big caveat about, you know, but if you wanted a technical system, so here's a technical system that I built and it looked very promising in back testing, but the data that I had wasn't really very reliable. So, you know, I'm working on getting better quality data, and I think I do have enough quality data that I could probably run this test again now. But if you see strong autocorrelation in cumulative delta, and you see strong autocorrelation in price, and you see that they are strongly correlated with each other as well, then you buy and you got a pretty good chance at catching a winner off of it. Like that, if you take equal risk reward and everything, that's a profitable trade. Yeah, there's KL said a lot of other things, but I can't read all of them. But I think I generally agree with you that order flow is like very, very short term, and so and a lot of the straight up edges from it have been taken out of the market by robots. So that's why I really think that you're going to want to look at order flow if you want to understand what's going on in a market at that time. So I think it's a piece of the puzzle that you really have to look at, but you're going to need more than that, right? Think of it as a part of a complete. It's just like you don't go and eat a bowl of Cheerios and then be good for the day, right? All that will do is get you a bunch of glycophosphates in your system, which we're told is safe for you, but I'm skeptical. I don't know. I mean, you're not gonna have enough nutrients, right? That's why they always say when they do the commercials, this cereal is part of a complete breakfast, right? You're supposed to have like some eggs and a glass of orange juice and all of this stuff to get everything that you need, right? Trading's the same way. Think of the order flow as the cereal, right? But there's other stuff that you need, right? You're going to want to factor in correlated instruments. You're going to want to factor in predictors of order flow, which would be like current news, understandings of institutional strategies, these sorts of things. You're going to want to, I have a video. There's 5. They escape me right now. What did I say? There's, volatility is one. So volatility, correlated instruments, order flow, predictors of order flow, and risk management, right? When you combine those 5 things together, now you actually have something that maybe you stand a chance. But the linchpin in all of that really ends up being, like if it's a hand grenade and there's a pin you pull out, what's the thing that actually, deploys the grenade, right? It's going to be the predictors of order flow. And that's kind of like the key is if you're misinformed, then the rest of it doesn't help you, right? And that's kind of the issue. That's why it's so hard to really trade effectively as a retail trader, because our ability to be informed is somewhat limited. But I think we do an okay job at it. I can tread water, right? So, and if you add on top of that taking risk, then you can do pretty okay. A lot of the people that you see out there that claim to be making money from trading and everything, what they're really doing is taking on a lot of risk. Yeah, Boom said too much. Well, so another thing that I would say is that cumulative delta in equity indexes is really suspect. Because there's way more hedging going on over there, right? But that's where I would kind of look at the options chains and specifically the orders that are actually going through the options. That would be another level of order flow that you would want to look at, right? That could potentially tell you what's going on or confirm your suspicions about what's going to happen. Okay, so for a guide, if you go to my channel page, I'm going to end the stream now. It's time for me to get going. But on the main channel page, I have a bunch of playlists for you to watch. So there's one that's for beginners. A lot of that stuff has to do with finding a broker and why I use the data platforms and the software platforms that I do and that sort of stuff. But there is also an order flow video series. It's about 5 videos long, where I go into all of the research and stuff that I know about the DOM that you would want to look at. Okay? So that's where I would start. And in those videos, I start talking about research and everything. You can go and look up those studies. And once you get to that point, you should be kind of equipped with all the information that you need to go and find the books that I got this information from and maybe learn a little bit more about it. Start reading studies on archive.org and, go from there. Or maybe you decide it's too complicated and you don't want to trade. Maybe. Already it's fake. Well, I wouldn't say it's fake. They take orders that you have to do it, It's just there's a lot of hedging in indexes. There's a lot of hedging, and so the order flow is not as predictive of where things. But that's also why I kind of have this filter. I said, okay, well, only when the order flow is really autocorrelated and price is really autocorrelated with that order flow, right? Because a lot of the time they don't predict each other. The correlation between the two of them is really weak in equity indexes. It can be manipulated. Well, yes and no. The market, most that you can do to manipulate something like that, though, right? Because if you buy it, you're taking contracts, right? But as a market maker, you can maybe make it easier for it to go one way or the other, right? But there's no way to work those things out because you don't know if somebody's opening a position or closing a position and how many different players there are in the market or anything like that, right? All you can know is the flow being predicting price right now or not? And if it's not, I think that it tends to be a good idea to try and figure out why. What is the hedging activity? What is the activity that you're actually looking at? Are they hedging? What are they doing? Right? Most of it in futures market, most of it is just hedging. Okay. Anyways, I do have to go. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll do some actual trading. Hopefully, markets will be open. And hopefully I finish this today on my own. But I will see you guys then. In the meantime, stay excellent.